Your address has been scheduled for a visit by an enforcement officer. Catch the TV license goons knocking on your door even if you ain't at home by using a video doorbell. Use the link on the screen or down below in the description thing to have a look at my top recommendations. Hi, it's me again, and yeah, I know we've talked about this letter before. I think it was a couple of years ago. It needs a refresh because this letter is doing the rounds again. This one arrived to one of my brilliant viewers who sent it through to me on the email. You find it in the description box below. If you've got letters, send them over. This one arrived in December just gone, so it's doing the rounds again. I thought this one was over because this is not one of my favourite letters, let's put it like that. So if you've received this letter from TV licensing because you're not paying your TV licence either through choice or because you can't afford to at the minute because of the cost of living crisis and everything, if you've got this letter, I'm going to break it down for you and let you know everything you need to know about it. So did you get this one? Look, it's got a big headline across the top. Look, your address has been scheduled for a visit by an enforcement officer in big red letters. I'm glad they refilled the red ink on their printers because loads of letters have been black lately. So let's have a look. All right, first paragraph. You did not respond to our last letter within the 10 days we gave you. This means we have had no option but to start an investigation of your address. I hate that line. I hate that line they put in the letters. Who are you to demand that I reply to you in 10 days? You are a private business. I do not have to reply to you at all, let alone within 10 days. Who are you to demand that I contact you within 10 days? I demand that you come round here and make me a roast chicken within 10 days. If you don't do it, I'm going to send a letter to you. It's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? But now, because we didn't reply in 10 days, they have had no option at all, but to start an investigation into our address. So, right, their crack investigative team is onto us. Let's see how their investigations go. And let's scroll right to the top of the letter. Where are we? Right, so it's addressed to the legal occupier, and they're addressing me as Dear Sir, Madam. Great investigation. Cracking. Absolutely cracking. Not even gone as far as to find my name. Not I got this letter, but you know the point I'm trying. Not even gone as far as to find the name of the person. Crack investigative team. They've got a capita. Brilliant. So what happens now is the next section. We have scheduled a visit by an officer from the local enforcement division. The enforcement officer will explain why they are visiting and be polite and fair. If they find evidence that you are watching or recording live TV programmes on any channel or device, or downloading or watching BBC programmes on iPlayer without being covered by a licence, they will interview you under caution. Oh, scary. And this could be used as evidence in court. Double scary. If you are prosecuted, you could be fined £1,000 plus any legal costs and or compensation you may be ordered to pay. Triple scary. So let's break that down then. Okay, so we've scheduled a visit by an enforcement officer from the local enforcement division. We tried to contact you to sell you something you might not need, and it turns out that you're not scared by our letters. So we're going to send the boys round to intimidate you in person. That's how I read that. That's exactly how I read that, right? The enforcement officer explained why they visit, be polite and fair, apart from the ones that swear at you and stuff, but we'll come to that. If they find evidence you're watching a recording, blah, blah, blah. So, if you're new to all of this and you're a bit scared by this letter, they call themselves enforcement officers because they want to sound important. They're not. What they actually are door-to-door salesmen that earn commission. They don't have any powers. If you go to the TV licensing website itself, it says they do not have any powers like the police. They might say here that they can interview you under caution, but I could interview my mum under caution as to why my washing hasn't been done this week. Doesn't make me a police officer. It's just something you can do. But they put it in there to sound important. They're door-to-door salesmen. Most people refer to them as goons because they're there to intimidate you, and some of them are quite good at it. That seems to be their main tactic, is intimidating you into paying for something you might not want. And it says here, if they find evidence that you're watching or recording live, how are they going to find evidence? Right? So we've just spoken that they don't have any powers. So they will ask to come into your property. They do not have the power of entry unless you invite them. That's the only way they're getting in, is if you invite them. And they will try and be all official and say you have to let me in. Some of them, most of them don't lie that much anymore because they keep getting filmed, don't they? So they've had to cut down on a lot of the lies. So if you get one, knock on your door, They will say, you don't have a license of this address, just want to come in and check your equipment, blah, blah, blah. They're there to stitch you up. They want to make that sale. That's how they're paying their bills and paying their rent. If one knocks on your door, this is how you deal with them. Perfectly within your rights and legally to deal with them like this. So let me play this out for you. I'll knock on the door. Hello, who are you? Hello, I'm from TV licensing. I'm just here to check. No, sorry, mate. No thanks. Bye. Close the door. Done. Do not engage with them at all. Just be polite, say no thank you, and close the door. Now, I used to say don't film them. Now I say do film them and send it to me so we can name and shame these people. But some of them can get a bit, how shall we say, economical with some of the truths of the powers and the rules they play by. And by filming them, you've got that covered. You've got a bit of protection for yourself, haven't you? Because we're all here to help you. So if you get a difficult one who won't take no for an answer or anything, you film it on your phone, you send it to me, that'll get 200,000 people seeing it and a few newspapers will see it. So it's a bit of protection for you, isn't it? But the fact that we have to have this conversation is ridiculous. It's a subscription service for a television channel, and I don't want it. Like, if I cancelled my Amazon Prime the other week, no problem at all. They do keep trying to sell me it, but that's okay. It's not. They're not harassing me. They're not going to send anyone to my door to harass me into paying for a television service that I don't want. How we got into this situation in a first world country in this day and age is absolutely ridiculous. And they've got to stop sending the stupid, intimidating letters and sending people to your house to demand money with menaces. It's wrong. And the best way to deal with it is not be scared by it. Don't reply to the letters. Don't talk to them in any way. Read the letters if you want. You don't have to. Just chuck them straight away. They're quite obvious when they come through if they're from TV licensing. If one knocks on your door, just no thanks, mate, shut the door. Never say anything else and never, ever let them into your house. And that's it. Just go about your life. Just go about your life. They won't keep knocking on your door if you keep closing it in their face. Because, like I said, they earn commission. They need to go out. It's a numbers game, sales, isn't it? They need to find some easier prey. I hope they don't find any easier prey, but sadly, they tend to. But you be the strong one, and they won't keep coming at you. They won't. You still have a chance to avoid this visit. Oh, thank God. Thank God. I was really worried. Call our specialist team immediately. They have the authority to stop this enforcement. They have the authority. They also have lots of experience helping people in similar situations decide if they need a TV license and find the best way to spread the cost. For example, you could pay from £6 a week. They have the authority to stop the enforcement visit. You got to laugh, right? No authority required. Once you pay us, we don't need to send the door-to-door salesman round, do we? We can save his time. He's wasting his time if you've already bought a license. No authority required, mate. They also have lots of experience in similar people in similar situations if they need it. It finally says if you need a TV license, because that's the other thing here. Nowhere here is it saying you don't need to worry about this or have a television license. As long as you don't watch anything as it's being broadcast, record anything that's being broadcast or use iPlayer, you can ignore all of this because you don't need a license. Where does it say that? And then it says there, if they need a license, and find the best way to spread the cost. So you're assuming that we do need a license then. Anyone who doesn't have a television license is odd, and they should be buying one immediately. That's what it's saying. Nowhere here. Nowhere here. Nowhere. Does it say maybe you don't need a license? If that's the case, you can either tell us you don't, or you can ignore this letter. It's no big deal. No big deal. How is that okay? How is that okay? To sell something, don't you have to give the full sides of the story by law? So this is not a mandatory purchase. You don't have to have one. But they're acting like it is, and they're really threatening you. And that's okay. Is it? The government haven't stepped in. The police don't take any of these letters seriously, even though this is full-on pucker harassment. What you need to know about the enforcement process. We can apply to court for a search warrant to gain access to your property. Not so much anymore. It is a very rare occurrence now. Very rare occurrence. Not that they were ever commonplace, the search warrants anyway, but it has happened in the past. I haven't heard of one for a very long time because most people just let them in or close the door on their face now. They don't need it. But to get a search warrant, you can't just rock up and say, I want to search this person's house. They're not CID, they're not flying squad, they're not bloody James Bond. You can't just go entering someone's house. You need evidence to support it. And if you've closed the door in their face saying, no thanks mate, and been polite, and not hidden anything, because you just said, no thanks mate, been polite and closed the door, they won't get it. They won't get it. They're getting rarer and rarer and rarer. That's there to scare you. That's the only reason that's there. They want you to see that, and they want you to be scared by that. And sadly, it does work for some people, but not for me. An officer can interview you under caution in accordance with national criminal law. Like I said, I'm going to interview my mum under caution later as to why my washing's not pink. No, I'm only joking. I don't take washing around me. I wish I took my washing around my mum. Anything you say to the officer may be used as evidence in court. See, they trying to sound like they're police. Anything you say to the officer may be used as evidence in court. Isn't that in the rights thing that the copper has to read you before he nicks you? Right. They're putting that in there to sound official and scary. He's not an officer, he's a door-to-door salesman. Anything you say to the door-to-door salesman may be used as evidence to sell you something you may not need. There you go, I've just rewritten your letter for you. You risk a fine of up to £1,000. Yeah, the maximum fine is £1,000. Fair play, the maximum fine, if you're caught for this offence of watching something you shouldn't be watching without a television licence, I never condone that. Now, I play a straight game. I don't watch anything that's been broadcast, record anything that's been broadcast, or use BBC iPlayer. So it doesn't scare me, because I play by the rules. I'm not going to engage with these people, but I still play by the rules nonetheless. But the only way they would know if I play by the rules is if I tell them, and I'm not going to do that either. But anyway, the maximum fine is £1,000. What they won't tell you is, it's rare, really rare. The average fine for people who have stitched themselves up on their doorstep, 150, 160 quid, it's in that area. If your property needs a TV licence, you will still need to buy one. Again, if. So if my property doesn't need a TV licence, why are you threatening me with all this nonsense? Stop it. Stop it. How are you allowed to terrify the good British people who are just trying to save a few quid on their monthly bills with this absolute nonsense? It should not be allowed. It should not be allowed. What do you think about this then? It shouldn't be allowed, should it? There's no way they should be allowed to word letters like this for a subscription service, an optional subscription service at that, which is perfectly legal to opt out of. How they get away with it, I don't know. Let me know what you think about it all down in the comments below. And if you've received letters or you want to know more about the letters, all the details you need below. There's a playlist. I've covered all the letters. If you've got a letter and you don't see it on the playlist, you'll find out how to send it over to me as well, so I can talk about it and maybe help some other people out there that have got the letter and might have been scared of it. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because that way, hopefully I'll see you in another video again soon when I... Ta-da.